This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Welcome back to the studio. If you're new, I'm Slew. Jess KARP, one of my favorite artists that is on YouTube. She's absolutely amazing. She's really one of my favorite illustrators. Her style, her work ethic, the videos. She came to the studio several months ago. We made an awesome little vlog. We did a podcast. We went to the Met and drew together, and it was a great video. She made a vlog also. You could check that out. In betwixt that video and that day, we did a photo shoot. What do we want to start with? Like really simple white? No, let's start with blue. Blue's more fun.
Yeah, blue.
The photo shoot was really fun because we got to dress up in different props. I love photography. I think Jess, since then, has been really into cinematography and photography. So it's just like a fun kind of play date with cameras and lights. So we're just taking some fun photos right now because first of all, photography is fun. There's a lot of parallels to lighting in photography, in painting, but also we're just doing portrait made for reference to paint because I want to paint you eventually.
And I want to paint you eventually,
yeah,
so.
Getting wacky. Yeah, so like this is like as basic as it gets. Key light and then rim light because this rim light separates you from the background a little. Let me just take a picture on my iPhone, you'll see. The photo shoot was really fun because we got to dress up in different props. I had this crazy like Medusa snake. I also have this lightsaber that's really cool. We used some awesome lights, just some really cool creative stuff. Oh God, this is so badass. All right, wait, get back. These are looking really cool. I said this before, I'll say it again. It's really even doubler fun to do these photo shoots with the intention to paint. So you're really looking at the light. You're really studying sort of the dynamic angles, how the light hits off people, what you would want to paint. So it's a learning experience and really fun at the same time.
So I really want you sitting on the chair. I want to have the camera as if you're painting. Come show the camera what you actually look like. I'm gonna dress you up in this.
Okay,
We're gonna get a nice academic Slew, but yet modern. Okay. And we have a full Bob Ross palette happening.
Love it.
Do you have something white?
Yeah.
Let's try both.
I look ridiculous.
Can you stand actually? We need to move the canvas back all the way as much as possible.
All the way this way?
Just a little bit. And a little bit to the...
Oh my gosh, I look hilarious. That's so dope though. This is kind of... I don't know if we need this.
Okay, head, chin up just a bit. Stay. That's beautiful. That is the one.
Now these photos are pretty darn good. Jess and I give permission to everyone to use these photos as reference. You can see they come out pretty cool. A lot of great ones of her because we spent more time, but these final ones with me in this sort of like robe painting are actually some of the more epic pictures I have of myself in like a wacky outfit. I absolutely love it. I think I'll have to do another gigantic portrait of myself. And we're gonna paint one of them right now. We're gonna paint this photo just because I liked Jess's face in it. We're gonna set up the painting area for a live stream because I do these for Patreon. I did a live stream a few weeks ago on YouTube, but mostly for Patreon, and it's really fun to do these 2-hour sessions. But before we start, we gotta talk about the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. Squarespace is the best online platform to build a website if you're a small business, an artist to grow your artwork, or to scale up operations. Squarespace has got your back. I'm starting sort of like a new organization here at the studio I can't talk about, but I will be building a new website. I absolutely will be using Squarespace. One, because it's so easy, but two, they have really awesome third-party extension features to scale up business operations, to do drop shipping, a bunch of other tools that help optimize your website through Squarespace. They have 24-hour customer service and award-winning templates. You can't go wrong. It's easy as picking a template and launching your site, and they're always there to have your back if you have any questions. Definitely check out Squarespace if you want to start a website. You can go to squarespace.com to get a free trial, and when you're ready to launch your website and get a domain, you can go to squarespace.com/slew for 10% off. Really wonderful. Thanks again, Squarespace, for sponsoring the video. On to painting. So the painting of Jess KARP. Love painting live. Usually it's just for Patreon, like I said, but it's really fun for me to, really talk through my process when there's an audience. It selfishly helps me out, but it's also, I think, just fun. My biggest year of learning painting was my year when I was at an atelier where I could look at people paint in real time, how they load their brushes, what they're thinking about, why they're placing, marks where they're placing marks, the reasoning. All of that really helps, and live painting's really great. And a lot of people do it. I think it's awesome. And if you're in an area where there's live painting demos, like for ateliers or other things, I would highly suggest going to do it. If you want to check out my Patreon, it should be linked in the description. But anyways, we got the palette out. Now this palette, I have a bunch of colors. This is because I was painting earlier that day. I guess I do use most of the colors, but I usually like to stick to limited palettes. And if you saw before with the reference photo that I kept it black and white on my stream because I love the photo in color. It's great, but weirdly, you know, it's very like warm. Like there's not a lot of variety in the face. That's no one's fault. It's not how Jess's face. It might have just been the lighting that day. So I like to keep it black and white. Obviously, I know the hair color and the red reflected light that I wanted, but the actual, you know, colors that I'm going to choose and the hues in the face, keeping it black and white helps me, you know, do what I want with color. So you'll see I kind of exaggerate the zones of the face in different colors. I push it yellow some places, I push it red in the cheeks and nose, and then it's a little more gray down by the chin. You can kind of see here, you'll start to see these zones, and it's a little exaggerated. It's not perfect, but that's why I keep the reference black and white, and it's a good practice, especially if you're just learning color theory and mixing paints and hues. I mean, color, face, skin, complexions. But so this is a really hard portrait also. I realized kind of midway through, I was like, oh, we'll just paint this nice picture of Jess, this cool creative lighting. I thought it was really challenging. And I was not nervous, but I was like, okay, wow, I gotta really lock it in. For one, it's a really small painting because I have like her neck and upper chest in this. You know, the actual face size was definitely smaller than my hand, like maybe 5 inches max. So painting smaller is always a bit challenging. But also just to get the likeness, you know, I think it was a pretty classic lighting scenario, but for some reason, I don't know, maybe it was like a bit estranged, oblong, the lighting, especially under her cheek, towards the mouth. And anyways, and then I did what I always fear I do, even though I try to prevent it from happening. I use too much white. So even right now, you can kind of see that the skin is a very light tone, and it's not that saturated. I mean, especially when you're comparing the background, which is very, you know, saturated in chroma, as well as the hair, which is like a very saturated red. But as I go in mixing these highlights, you can see, or in my opinion, it's too whitey. You know, there's not enough saturation in the highlights. It just becomes chalky. And that is something I used to do a lot when starting oil painting. I think a lot of beginners do. And, you know, I could get sucked into that sort of issue. I mean, it might not be even that much for you guys to even realize, but that would be my critique on this. And I think it's still successful and it looks like Jess and it's fine. It's just, I wish I start darker. And that's another thing that I think a lot of beginner oil painters run into, is they don't go dark enough, you know, and like they're scared of going dark with the skin tones, especially for like a lighter skin complexion like Jess here. But that's just something I'd mention. And I sent Jess a picture of this and she was like, is my nose really that big? And I'm like, I thought you said you got stung by a bee on your nose right before you got to my studio way back when. But she obviously didn't. I just might have made her, you know, nose a little bulbous, but I think it looks like her and I think it looks great. Successful stream. That was like a really good time. I actually did this pretty quick. I think Jess looks great. I might have used too much white, like I said, but I think overall successful. 2 hours, 2.5 hours, really great. I'm really tired. I painted like all day. I did like a 4-hour painting session before this. So I'm going home. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, stay tuned. I got a bunch more awesome stuff, including a huge portrait tutorial coming out with like a premium video, 2 hours, full walkthrough of how to do portraits. Really exciting stuff, how to shoot portraits with lighting for photography. I'm really into all that. So I'm making sort of a few projects based all around portraiture. And of course, I love doing oil studies in the sketchbook. So that's all dandy and wonderful. I don't know really what else to say other than I got oil paint everywhere. But this setup is looking really sexual and wonderful. I love this palette. I love seeing all the paint out. It truly makes me happy. So yeah, leave some comments. Let me know what you think. See you in the next video.